I was pretty much born a drummer. As my mom used to tell me, I was beating on anything that was available.
Neither Jim Sonefeld nor his mother could have guessed that his knack for music would make him an international superstar. With Jim behind the drum set, Hootie and the Blowfish sold over 25 million albums, garnered millions of fans, and remains one of the most beloved rock bands in American music. I recently sat down with Jim to discuss his former addiction, his faith, and life after Hootie and the Blowfish.
Let's go back kind of like to the beginning and your first impressions and first views of God. You grew up in the Catholic Church.
Unfortunately for me, a lot of what I took away from that experience, for whatever reason, was a bit of fear of God. A bit of fear of, oh my gosh, I'm not a good guy, I'm not a good kid.
But Jim longed for approval, and when he didn't find it in church, he turned to his friends. Under pressure to look cool, he started drinking when he was only 14.
That feeling was something I kept going back for. It was something that I was slowly falling in love with.
So you go to college, and now, freedom. How did you handle that?
You know, I drank and drugged in college because it felt good. A bit of bravado, of confidence.
It was there at the University of South Carolina where Jim became a part of Hootie and the Blowfish. They quickly became a campus favorite and were known as a band who liked to party.
I never felt like I was out of bounds. I felt like, yeah, we drink, we party, we drive around, we get paid, we meet people, it's fun. I don't see the problem with this.
Then you make an album, Cracked Rear View, and it just explodes.
It was a big deal. We thought this is where we want to be, and not many bands get there. We saw life happening very fast on a grander scale. We went from a little van to a tour bus. We went from 300 fans to 3,000 to 30,000. And that's a big thing to put on some guys who've just come out of playing clubs.
So how about the alcohol? When did it really start to get out of control for you?
Although I had bouts of out-of-control drinking and drugs from high school through college, it was hit and miss. Now you throw a bunch of fans, a bunch of free drinks, and money into the equation, and there was only one way I was going, which was more.
Before long, Hootie and the Blowfish became one of the top-selling bands in the world. During that time, Jim says another addiction started to take hold.
I was addicted to that success in my career where I had people saying, "You're awesome, you're okay." There's a roller coaster in music. You got to be able to ride out those low points. And when we went into a low point, it was tough. I didn't have that feeling anymore. I felt like I was chasing something. I felt like I was, where did the people go? Why isn't radio playing our song?
To cope, Jim turned to the bottle. But by now, he had married and started a family.
With everything that you're talking about, with the drinking, with the, the tours and everything, how did you manage your relationship with your wife and your children?
I brought my addiction and my lifestyle from the road, which was, yeah, love me. Thank you. I can do no wrong. I can party as much as I want. I can do anything and it's okay. And then you come home to a household where there's a baby or two babies and a wife, and those don't mix.
What happened that you came to a point where you're like, okay, this cannot go on any longer?
The message from God that needed to get to me so I could wake up came in the form of my 4-year-old daughter. And I'd built a studio behind my house so I could make music, but also drink and drug and escape. My 4-year-old daughter came out to visit me in the studio. 10:30 on a Sunday morning, I was still sound asleep, passed out on a couch. And, that little angel hopped on my chest and looked down at me and just said, "Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing out here? Why aren't you in the house?" And I couldn't answer. I had no answer. She had just asked me the question that was so profound that it was God speaking to me saying, who's in control of your life? And it was the beginning of that admission process of, I have walked away from you, God. I have ignored you. I have lived by the rules of this earth, and I'm at the end of that rope. I need you.
Jim knew it was time to get help, so he joined a 12-step program and eventually stopped drinking. But the years of addiction had already taken its toll on his marriage, and he and his wife divorced. Around that time, the band also stopped touring. Jim admits it wasn't easy, but with Christ, he was ready to rebuild his life on a new foundation.
I wanted to know my new purpose. I wanted to know why I was here, because it wasn't any of the reasons that I thought I was here. It wasn't Hootie the Blowfish. It wasn't to make people dance in their seats to Hootie the Blowfish music. What he had for me was something slightly different. Was he wanted me to step up to the microphone and sing his praises.
Jim is now remarried and has 5 beautiful children. He recently released a Christian album called Found and has another project in the works.
I knew I was on a path for him and that he was speaking to me. And here's what he wanted me to say. And it was, a story of redemption, a story of being broken, a story that, I think he wants us broken to some degree, and that he could use this broken man to glorify him.